What's good, party people? This is Voodoo in the Woods. I'm Gordon in the Woods, and he is former U of MMA champion Pius Lobo, better known as Voodoo Maximus.
What's up, y'all? What's up, 80 Day Woods?
Dude, crazy time. I returned to the After 83 Weeks podcast with Christy Olson, filling in for Steve Kaufman was one George Ramosa of the Wrestling Chatter, and of course the architect of the NWO, former president of WCW, former Raw general manager, the one, the only, Easy E, Eric Bischoff, made the fourth return to that particular podcast that can be found right now on the 83 Weeks YouTube channel, as well as the Facebook. And then if you're a top guy, you could basically subscribe on ad-free shows. So it's a little bit extra a month, but you get a wealth of bonus content. So there you go.
And that is just too sweet.
Woo! Bang. Yes, absolutely. And Takeo Pal holding down the fort. Good sister says, "Hey, how are you guys? I am here. What is up, guys? We are here with no fear." And man, it's just been crazy. Had Shaman Steve on earlier today. Shout out to Shaman Steve. Shout out to Tony DeBurn from the Pacific Northwest, who also chimed in on the podcast. So, man, busy, but not as busy as the combatants. Literally, you don't have to look far if you want some fisticuffs this weekend, because tonight we had the return of OC Fights, right? OC Fights at the hangar in Costa Mesa. That was tonight. Shout out to Englebright Promotions for that hybrid boxing and MMA card. Then tomorrow night we have LFA right here in Burbank, California, at the Burbank Marriott and Convention Center, headlined by a strawweight title bout with one Loveth Young. We've got a crazy fucking fight in Sydney. Sid Vicious Trillo out of Balquatch's Rounders MMA in Santa Ana, going up against CSW's Alondria Brown. That is going to be banana. As Pat Patterson says, banana. It's going to be absolute banana. And then you've got, obviously, the two big dogs in the MMA game. You've got Bellator with Cyborg defending her title. In addition to that, we've got the UFC that we're about to talk about, headlined by none other than El Pantera, Yair Rodriguez, and former UFC featherweight champion, many would argue is the GOAT, but Volk is kind of coming up on his tails, but Max bless Holloway. Holy shit, this is amazing.
Yes, it is. And you covered everything to the T with a fine tooth comb. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it's I don't got that gap for nothing. Holy shit! With my fucking teeth, I'm scouring the combat sports landscape and seeing what the fuck is up for you. And Takea says, "I'm always going to support you guys, and I love it. We love you, good sister, and the feeling's mutual. Shit, let us know what you got and whatever." And we're going to support that right back, because that's what we do in our own community. We support each other, right? And that's a community of people. It's not just one gender, not one race, not one belief system. We're all a community of people. So we just have to support our community, which, holy shit, our Fight Sports community is going to be going through craziness because, again, this UFC Fight Night. I mean, to you, Voodoo, I mean, when you hear Yair Rodriguez versus Max Holloway, that's a fucking headline pay-per-view fight, right?
Yep. We just had a very expensive pay-per-view last week.
Yeah.
So Maybe they're trying to give us a break and let us save up some more of our coins so we
Mm-hmm.
can drop it on the next big pay-per-view that's coming up.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, even still, this is not without some fucking. This is, I mean, theoretically speaking, because the weigh-ins are tomorrow. But what we have is an 11 fight card, taking place at the UFC Apex. And they're in Las Vegas. I don't know why I said down there. It's kind of horizontal, whatever the fuck. But this shit is crazy. Uh, Starting out with the first fight in the 205-pound division, uh, Kennedy Nishinchukwu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's kind of it. Against Da Un Jung, right? Of Korea. Kennedy is 9-1. Obviously, he is somebody who entered the UFC during the pandemic, right? And the African Savage has made well of his time because he's pretty much, he came in, Dana White's Contender Series 2018, right? He knocked out Dennis Bryant, but then lost to the Bear Jew, Paul Craig. Yep, that's a thing, Bear Jew. All right. But he lost to a triangle choke. But making sure that didn't happen to him again is, he basically beat Darko Stosic, right, by unanimous decision.
Mm-hmm.
He KO'd Carlos Ulberg, right, and Danilo Marquez. That just happened not too long ago. Yeah, in fucking June, where he fucking KOs Danilo Marquez. Just punches the shit out of him until he goes right. Now, on the other side of the docket, we have the South Korean Da Un Jung. Seda is a fighting moniker. He trains out of the Korean top team, and he's a champion of a different organization. But he actually, not a bad run, right? So he leaves the regional circuit right after a elbow, elbow KO victory over Sasa Milinkovic, right, at
Yes.
Heat 44. And then he goes fucking undefeated in the UFC. And the names that he beat, it's fucking nuts, man. So we got Slow Mike Rodriguez, and who hasn't, again, this is somebody in Voodoo, you're like, fucking Slow Mike? What the fuck? But he's impressed you, hasn't he?
Yeah, yes, he has.
Right?
Slow Mike has changed my mind, most
Ex-
definitely.
exactly. It takes a little time for Slow Mike, but he did it, and he's there, right? Goes to a draw, split decision draw with Sam Alvey, but then has a unanimous decision over William Knight. Fucking how scary is William Knight, Voodoo?
Yeah,
Fucking scary, isn't he?
scary indeed. Underworld scary.
Yes! Like a motherfucker with dreadlocks, but he don't even rock the dreadlocks. He's just like, he's waiting with the fucking contact eyes, and it's wild, right? So those are some big fucking wins for the South Korean, man. I don't know what the fuck. This first fight, holy fuck. Like, this could be fight of the night contender. The first fight, right off the bat.
Yes, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. It also strikes me as a striker in Kennedy versus a Da Un Jung, who is a more MMA complete. That's what it
Yes.
seems like. That's what it seems like. So he might be MMA complete, but I've seen Kennedy punch people, and I've seen him toe tag people, and
Yes.
I'm just convinced that he's gonna go ahead and move up just one more space from 26 to 25 as he takes out Da Un Jung no later than the second round.
I like it. I like it. And theoretically, like, if you pick Da Jung, I I would have picked Kennedy, right? And there's nothing against Kennedy. Love watching this guy fight. Watching his evolution since his inclusion into the UFC. It's been amazing, as is Dalton Jung. But I feel it's going to be such a fucking banger that actually going to go Dalton Jung just because it could go fucking either way, man.
It definitely is gonna be fireworks. I agree.
I mean, Jung is fucking finishing people with fucking elbows, man. You know, you remember RDA fucking training, his elbow strikes almost like the
Yeah.
tie, almost like a fucking jab and a cross and a uppercut with the fucking elbows. So that says
Hmm.
something, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. It also tells us that he's able to get dominant position and smash people with elbows while they're on the
Right.
ground. So yeah, he's in that mounted position a lot or side control. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so we'll see what he does with Kennedy.
Yes, absolutely. You know, and that's a big one. 9-1 versus 14, 2
And
and
two.
1. Those are pretty impressive fucking records, you
Hmm.
know. But talk about big fight experience in the 155-pound division. You have Mark Dikise, the Bone Crusher, 14-4. You know, a champion of a different organization, training out American top team. But the last time that we saw Mark, the Bone Crusher, was a loss via unanimous decision to Rafael Fiziev last year in July. But he beat Lando Venata because, of course, right? Because Groovy Lando, hasn't looked all that much impressive in his last couple outings, right? And then Irish Joe Duffy beats him by unanimous decision, right? But losing to Nasrat Harpcross, Dan the Hangman Hooker, and Drake Kloss, right? He's been, in the UFC, Jesus Christ, since like good UFC 204, Bisping versus fucking Henderson, Dan Henderson too. That's how long Dicase has been in the fucking UFC, right? And then,
Hmm.
you know, the last regional card that he ever fought on was Bama, which, spun guys like Terrion Flashware, Chris Cully, and what have you. So, like, that was his last stop, his springboard into the UFC, which you don't see anymore because Bama is not in operation right now. So that just shows you how long Mark has been in here. But he's going up against the turn Rafael Alves, right?
Hmm.
19-10 as a
Hmm.
professional. That's 29 fights, you guys. Holy hell, that's a whole lot of beating going on and beating the shit out of people. But he hasn't been in the UFC very long, right? Because he was he in 2018. Guilherme Miranda, he beats via unanimous decision on the Titan FC 49 card, right? Then comes back at Titan FC 50 and guillotine chokes beats Nazarov, right? And then KO win over Felipe Douglas, guillotine choke on the Contender Series
Hmm.
over Alejandro Flores, but
Hmm.
loses his first official fight in the UFC to Namir Ismagulov, right? And that happened just in May of this year, right? That's a whole lot of impressive shit.
Hmm.
How do you fare? What say
Well,
you?
it seems like another battle of striker and complete MMA fighter. The complete guy being Rafael Alves.
Hmm.
I believe he's also Brazilian, so the ground game is going to be decent. But he's going in against Mark. Mark is a very good English striker. Um, his kickboxing is very top notch, and when you look at the level of competition that he's faced in the UFC, I mean, recently losing to Rafael Fiziev, that guy's a wrecking ball. The fact that he
Hmm.
went, even though he lost by unanimous decision, he was able to
Right.
stand for 15 minutes against Rafael. That's
Hmm.
saying something. That's saying
Yep.
something. He's been in there with Dan Hooker, Draco Claus. These guys are significant top 15 individuals. He beat Joe Duffy, Lando
Hmm.
Venata. That's an impressive win. If you can beat Lando Venata by unanimous decision, we're starting to get somewhere. We're starting to get somewhere. So I'm gonna go with Mark the
Dukase?
yeah, the Costa. Um, I'll give him a split decision. It's going to be a tough match for him, but I think he's wise enough to steal one.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it. But 29 fights for Rafael Alves, man, that's saying
Hmm.
something.
Hmm.
I say, you know what? Because Mark has lost via, I don't know how strong, like, um, Rafael's fucking, guillotines are.
Hmm.
But in my mind, and this is nothing, believe me, love the Bone Crusher, right? But just in my mind, you call it a fucking vision or whatever the fuck, but I feel like Rafael is going to finish him via guillotine. Something, don't know when it's gonna happen. It just appeared in my fucking brain, so I feel like I have to share it and what have you. And again, that's nothing against Mark. I love watching Mark fight, you know. But
Hmm.
it just popped in my head. I felt like I should go that way. So I think,
Yeah,
yeah, I think Rafael, something's gonna happen.
yeah, something is going to happen, and the fact that the fight is still pending, it means anything can happen. So,
Anything can happen.
yeah, what you say is not far from the truth. So,
Yeah,
we shall see. So, we'll go 50-50 on the first two matches, leading us
yeah,
to Courtney Casey versus Leanne Joshua.
yeah. Nine and
Courtney,
nine. It's a
99.
50-50, right?
Mm-hmm.
50
Mm-hmm.
50 deal for Courtney Casey, which you gotta, if you're Sean Shelby and got the other gent that is the matchmaker, right? If it's a lopsided record, she might get her walking papers, right? But
Yeah.
Courtney Casey, is somebody who has a loyal following in the UFC, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, it's kind of hit or miss with her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she beat names like Miranda Marcos, submits her on the undercard of Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz too, right? And then but loses to Claudia Gadelia, right? But beats Jessica Aguilar, right? But loses to both back-to-back losses to the little bulldog Felice Herring and the karate hottie Michelle Watterson, but then beats Angela Hill in a split decision, but then loses to Cynthia Calvillo, who will be fighting later on in the card. Then beat Mara Barella, right, via armbar back in May of last year, but then losing to Jillian Robertson and JJ Aldridge, respectively, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been hit or miss, right? So I would expect Courtney Castor and Casey, you gotta finish and like with without refutable doubt that you
Mm-hmm.
belong in the UFC. It has to be fucking spectacular. If you think you're gonna go unanimous decision, split decision, and still maintain your fucking employment with UFC, I don't know. I absolutely don't know. Especially when you got this, people like She Wolf, Liana Jojua, who's
Mm-hmm.
8-4, marketable as all hell, right? But Jojua, before coming into the UFC, fought at Fight Nights Global,
Mm-hmm.
um, but loses her UFC debut to Sarah Moras, right? And then beat Diana Belvita via armbar back in July of last year, but then loses to Miranda Fury the Maverick because of the cut that unfortunately Jojua sustained back in November, right? No, I'm sorry, October of 2020, right? So she steps in with Courtney Casey. I say Jojua. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I think Jojua's got it.
Okay. This is gonna be another close one. Um, the competition is very, very equal this time around. This week.
Absolutely.
Um, I'll split you on that. I'll go
Okay.
Courtney Casey. Why not?
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one where I hope I'm wrong because where Liliana Jojo stands, yes, she has a loss, but her record is 8-5 is a whole lot more impressive than a
Then 99,
9 and 10,
9 and 9.
right? So I hope I'm wrong. I hope Courtney Casey does win, because again, this almost feels like Legends of the Hidden Temple, right? One's a fucking green monkeys, one's a silver snake, and you're fucking going through the damn temple cards and shit like that, and one of them fucking takes you out, and you don't have a medallion to fucking throw out at that motherfucker. So unfortunately, Courtney Casey has used all of her medallions, and this is her last fucking song, in the words of the All American Rejects, right? This is the last song. So, yeah, even though I'm picking Joshua, secretly I want Courtney Casey to win.
Yeah, it's pretty even. It's pretty even. I think we're gonna see a good fight here with these two ladies.
I
It's gonna
agree.
become it's gonna be competitive.
Absolutely, absolutely. As the 125 pound division, that flyweight division is heating up, and the talent. I mean, all of the roster, all of the fucking divisions rosters are stacked. So I fucking can't wait for this fight. But I also can't wait for the 8-1 Sean Woodson,
Hmm.
the sniper, right? Uh, who has the most incredulous born ready tattoo with the St. Louis arches and whatever. It might not be the best tattoo, but training out of the Wolf's Den MMA Training Center, right? Um, this guy, is a talk about the Midwestern scene. I mean, he's from Missouri, St. Louis, right? But he's a veteran of Shamrock FC, which is the Shamrock FC to, I mean, fuck, they've done 300 plus cards as a fucking, regional promotion. They're the lights out of the Midwest. There's so
Hmm.
many guys and girls that have used Shamrock FC as a springboard to both
Hmm.
UFC and Bellator, even one championship as well, right? For
Hmm.
big money paydays. So
Hmm.
that's saying something. But, Woodson, beat Terrence McKinney. Oh fuck, I remember that flying knee in the second round that went viral on Dana White's
Hmm.
Contender Series back in 2019.
Hmm.
He beats the unanimous decision Kyle Bonchak, right? But then loses to Julian Juicy J Erosa via dart stroke, right? And then beat Youssef Zalal, the Moroccan, right? Via unanimous decision. I mean, via split decision, just in June of this year, right? So
Hmm.
he's fighting one Colin Anglin, and Colin 8-2, almost. I mean, almost identical records, right? Um, but Jesus Christ, coming into the, I mean, before he comes into the UFC, he literally goes on a tear. He fights for PFO after a undefeated amateur career,
Hmm.
faces RJ Sprague, right,
Hmm.
and then KOs RJ, then loses via unanimous decision to Antoine Blasingame, right,
Yes.
at KOP 61, but then goes literally through WXC, Clip, Lights Out Championship, LFA, like goes on undefeated streak across 1, 2, 3, 4, and I count 4 because he beats Muhammad Aljan Naimov, right?
Hmm.
And he beats him in Dana White's Contender Series in 2020, right? So UFC, WXC, LFA, Lights Out, Clip, right? And KOP. So 6 fucking, like, he goes on a fucking, win streak across 4 different fucking promotions, man.
Hmm.
That's saying something.
Hmm.
Taking out the amateur scene and also taking out, somebody handpicked by Dana White himself to fight on the Contender Series. So, yeah,
Hmm.
but loses to Melsik Bagd- Bagdasarian.
Hmm.
Why? I know that guy. So it's
Hmm.
weird. I'm fucking up his name. But shout out to Melsik and Muay Thai America, which also is the gym of the Nigerian Terminator, Loveth Young, who will be fighting for the LFA strawweight title. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I
Mm.
think uh,
Dude, this
you
this
want to
is
do
an
50-50?
I actually have a choice in this one. I
Okay.
think Sean Woodson is the more tenured veteran in the UFC.
Yeah. Okay.
Might not have been a great record, but that high level experience always shows up in the cage. Colin, though, he has been across four different promotions, and he's been, doing very well. Those promotions don't equate UFC caliber, and that advantage I'm going to give to Sean Woodson, and I'm going to expect Sean Woodson to either finish this in the third or win it by split decision. He is going to be dealing with a whole lot of wrestling
Yes,
and
he is.
submission attempts. It's going to be a whole lot of that. But if he weathers the storm, which I know he can, Colin will lose this one to the experience of Sean Woodson. Split decision.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I'm going, and you laid out statistically a very amazing argument. But I am going not in terms of statistics at all. I'm going with the fact that Colin Anglin has way better hair than Sean Woodson. You can deny it all you want, but that fucking whatever the fuck that is, that fucking weird ass, fucking gorilla snotted fucking faux hawk or whatever. It works, man. It works. So, versus I don't know what the fuck is going on with the follicle challenge, Sean Woodson, and I mean that out of love. One of the reasons why I fucking keep my hair short because when I eventually do go bald, I don't want it to look any different than I do right now. So there you go, attempting mortality. But yeah, I got Anglin just because of his hair.
Yeah, no problem with that.
But speaking of hair that don't care, we've got a bob and then a weave. No, Andrea KGB Lee doesn't have a weave. I'm sorry. I thought it would be a good fucking joke, but it didn't. Right as it left my mouth, I wanted that some bitch back. But we have Andrea KGB Lee, 12-5, former Invicta flyweight champion, world flyweight champion, against Cynthia Calvillo, who's 9-3-1. Right, Calvillo, is coming off of back-to-back losses. The last one, the latest one, to a former UFC champion Jessica Andrade, and then the blonde fighter Caitlin Chakugian, right? But has wins over Jessica Courtney Casey, you know, uh, Poliana Botello, Carla Esparza, beat Joanne Calderwood, Pearl Gonzalez, Amanda Bobby Cooper, Montana De La Rosa, Jillian Robertson, and Jessica Sanchez. And the fact that, Jillian Robertson, made it to the fucking UFC, and, Cynthia Calvillo is facing her as on the regional circuit. I think that's fun, right? And then she also competes at the very first LFA after the merger of RFA and LFA and what have you. Fights on the very first card against Montana De La Rosa, who is again in the UFC along with her husband Mark, right? So it's just crazy how that shit all works out, right? Now, again, the other side of the docket, we got Andrea KGB Lee, former Invicta World Flyweight Champion. Basically has a win over Antonina Shevchenko, the fucking sister of the champ, right? But before that, she had 3 straight losses to Joanne Calderwood, Lauren Murphy, and Roxanne Modafferi, respectively. Beat Montana De La Rosa back in 2019. Beat Ashley Evans Smith via unanimous decision, and Veronica Macedo via unanimous decision back in 2018. This is pretty even. I'm going with
Yes.
Calvillo.
Okay. Okay. Uh, this one, we know about Andrea Lee. She's quick to shoot that double if
Mm-hmm.
things get dicey, too fast, she'll shoot that double, which is what we saw with the Shevchenko sister. But
Yeah,
Cynthia, she used to be an alpha male, right? She
yeah,
used to work out with the alpha male, so
yeah.
that means at least her takedown defense will be decent, which will allow the match to remain standing. But then when we do remain standing, reach advantage goes to Andrea Lee, and she's got pretty good kickboxing. So
Of
does
course.
Cynthia, but I think Andrea Lee throws more volume than Cynthia Calvillo. So I'm gonna go with Andrea Lee to win this one by split decision.
I like it. It's weird for me. You know, obviously KGB trains at Karate Mafia now.
Hmm.
Um, you know, but the fact that she's KGB, which is Russian, but she fancies herself, you know, look no further than the cowboy hat that she usually wears to weigh-in, and she's wearing like Russian sickles, which is, you know, the fucking old, you know, oligarch of Russia, which isn't vogue nowadays, right? You know,
Hmm.
the Soviet Union. She's rocking that shit, but also a cowboy hat and being a real American. So there's a whole lot of shit amiss. So I think whatever is going on with KGB Lee in terms of her ideology and her approach to fighting, I think Cynthia Calvillo will figure it out. You know, yeah, she'll fucking turn the damn Rubik's cube the way that it needs to make sure
Yeah.
that it's all in fucking red, right? And that red is the blood of the KGB spokeswoman Andrea KGB Lee. So
Yeah.
I think it'll actually be a bloody affair, right? But I got Cynthia Calvillo for the win.
I wouldn't be mad at a bloody affair, man. Not at all.
Yeah. So, you know, going up, we have none other than Thiago Moises, 15-5 against the Spaniard Joel Alvarez, El
Hmm.
Fenomeno, right? So we'll look at Joel first, right? This is somebody who, Jesus Christ, he's been in there. Most of his fights taking place either the Spanish regional circuit, Fight Night series, or AFL, right? Which a lot of AFL cards you could actually catch on Fight TV. You know, like
Hmm.
$5-10. It's not bad. I encourage you guys all to do such, right? But in the UFC, loses his UFC debut to Damir Ismagulov, right? But then rebounds, beating Danilo uh, Belurado, right? Via ground and pound. Irish Joe Duffy finishes Irish Joe Duffy with a guillotine choke, and then, you know, cops an armbar on Alexander Yakovlev, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So we got Thiago Moses on the opposite end of the octagon, right? 15-5. But when you look at his record, Jesus Louises, right? Loses to Islam Makhachev because who doesn't, right? Beat Alexander Hernandez via unanimous decision. Beat our guy, fucking OG Bobby Green, via unanimous decision. Michael Johnson, he fucking ankle locked that motherfucker. He thought it was Kurt Angle, and he reaped that fucking ankle.
Hmm.
That's what I think happened, right? But
Hmm.
loses, you know, losses to, you know, Benil Dariush, Damir Ismagulov, in the, you know, grappling side of things. He basically went toe to toe against Wagner Hucha
Hmm.
and lost. But Wagner Holcha is one of the greatest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in captivity today. So
Hmm. Hmm.
there's that.
Hmm. Yeah, this Wagner Rocha fella, I hear a lot from Brian Peterson of PG. He's always saying this Wagner Rocha, this and that. I don't know what the guy looks like, but I've heard from him, and it's an honorable thing to lose to Wagner Rocha because he is one of the very best in the world. But
Mhm.
um, when we look at the the time in the UFC and the quality of opponent that Thiago Moises has fought, I am going with Thiago Moises to continue his winning ways here by defeating Joel Alvarez just on pure. I think he's gonna beat him by striking. The fight will take place in the grappling arena as well, but
Mhm.
I think Thiago will be able to keep this standing because he is that good. He'll
Yep.
keep this standing and let it be known. I
Yep.
see a unanimous decision, if not a stoppage.
Ooh. Uh, yeah. I mean, I could see that statistically speaking, that doesn't sound off, But obviously, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'll have to go. Yeah. Joel Alvarez, right? El
Hmm.
Fenomeno, because yeah, hell yes. So a Spanish fighter, if I can try to move to Big Island and do better, so I like that story. So
Hmm.
I'm going with Joel.
Let's get it.
Right, right. So speaking of getting it, we have the 17-4 Julio Arce, right? And I mean, this guy has pretty much fought anywhere and everywhere, right? Beat Andre Yule, KOs him earlier this year in July, which we saw that, of course, right? But
Hmm.
loses to Hakeem Dawoodwu, all right, the split decision, and then Julian Arosa uh, basically KOs Julian Arosa with a head kick, right?
Hmm.
So, shit, man. That song you know, right? On the other side, we have Arce. Oh, no, that was Arce. Shit, what
Yeah,
the fuck?
not
Yeah,
Yadong song.
yeah. Ya dong song. Ya song da dong dong dong. That's I'm sorry, that was probably juvenile of me. But the Kung Fu Monkey, is coming off of a win over a former LFA champion Casey Kinney, beats him by unanimous decision. But then Kyler Phillips throws a wrench in his plans. That's the hybrid does, right? And Kyler Phillips beat him via unanimous decision. Beat our dude Marlon Chito Vera, right, via unanimous decision. uh, the draw against Cody Stamen, right? Wins over Alejandro Perez and Vincent Morales, right? There's there's some fucking wars this guy's been in there, and he's
Hmm.
been in the cage since 2013. So he's
Hmm.
approaching 10 years of fights, blood, and bruises.
Hmm. 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 Yes, Yadong Song done it again. Yadong Song, he's got great hand speed. His greatest attribute is boxing, and he's been working with the Uriah Faber crew, and you know those guys are little small bunch of little small wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he 135 is just a perfect place for him to be training at. He already has a very big boxing game, which is significant these days in mixed martial arts. He's got the takedown defense, so he's going to keep the fight standing. Julio Arce is about to get toe tagged. He just doesn't know it yet. Yadong Song with another unanimous decision victory or knockout in the third.
Agree with you 100%. 100%. 100%. You articulated that way better than I could have, I was just like, oh, the fucking guy hits a dude in the face and then they go bye bye. That's what I got, you know. Um, but we got a crazy one. We got the 10-1 Miguel Baeza, right? The
Hmm.
Carmel Thunder, right?
Hmm.
Training out of MMA Masters. But the last time we saw him in the octagon was a loss to Santiago Ponzinibbio,
Hmm.
right? But
Hmm.
beats Takeshi Tansato, right? Beats him by unanimous no, arm triangle choke. I'm sorry. Wins over Matt Brown, Hector Aldana,
Hmm.
Victor Reyna, right? So that is Baeza's
Hmm.
fucking pedigree, right?
Hmm.
So we go on
Hmm.
the other side of the docket. We have the 12-2 Chaos Williams or the Ox Fighter, right? Jesus Christ, like he's all over. But let's see. Jesus Christ, I don't know. I feel like the chaos of Chaos Williams is the thing that is going to thwart the plans of
Yeah. Chaos Williams, very good,
Wrong fucking
powerful
crap.
striker. Very, very
Wrong.
powerful striker.
Yeah.
The Chaos Williams is a very, very powerful striker with power, great power in his hands. But Miguel Baez, the Carmel Thunder, there's something about him that was a little bit off in his last match. In his last match, he fought Ponzinibbio, and for some reason he wanted to stand and bang and do those things that don't really matter much, if you ask me. Don't
Right.
really matter much in regards to longevity and um, I guess because he's young, he feels the need to impress the brass. But I don't think he should be getting involved in brawls. He's too good to be in brawls. And if he makes that mistake against Chaos Williams, he will go to sleep rather quickly. Um,
Yeah.
I do not think he will make that kind of mistake. The man was undefeated until he ran into Ponzinibbio.
Yeah.
Ponzinibbio was able to drag him into a dog fight. But I
Yeah.
do not believe Chaos Williams will do the same. I believe he will manage distance really well. His
Mhm.
kickboxing game, Miguel Baez, his kickboxing game is quite spectacular. And I think he's going to get back to his range game. He's going to mind his range. And
Mm.
he's going to deliver an upset for Chaos Williams. Though
Ooh.
Chaos might be the popular fighter, I do not feel that he is a better striker. So I'm going with Miguel Baez, who's also a very accomplished grappler in his own right. I'll go with him to do whatever he has to do to get a W.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm going with you as well. That's a unanimous pick because
Mhm.
damn, that's a pretty fucking good argument. So, Chaos Williams for the win, right?
I, I,
Now,
I wouldn't be surprised if that was fighter tonight. By the way.
no, 100%. I mean, they both have the pedigree to make such a
Hmm.
thing happen. So I can't wait. I'm just gonna be a fucking fan and watch this shit play out. You know.
Hmm. Hmm.
But speaking of things that I don't know, I'm not saying that Felicia Spencer 8-3 and Leah Lutzen are passe, not one iota, right? But the 8-3 Felicia Spencer is the phenom, right? Uh, in terms of Jesus Christ, uh, Felicia Spencer had that fucking crazy ass fight with Amanda Nunes where she just fucking was a magnet to fucking Amanda Nunes' fucking, fists. Every time it just felt like, yeah, it was just, Amanda Nunes fucked her up. That's what happened, right? It was almost like, the fight with Anthony Lionheart Smith where the fucking coach did throw in the towel. That's how
Hmm.
that Amanda Nunes fucking fight went, right? And
Hmm.
then enters into Submission Underground 19. That's obviously, Chael Sonnen's promotion, and loses
Hmm.
to Amanda Lowen, right? And then loses yet again for, in the win against, or I'm sorry, the loss against Norma Dumont, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
Felicia Spencer is not looking good. This is a must win, and it has to be decisive. But on the other hand, you got Leah Letson, who Nidas, as she calls herself, reminds me. Jesus, who does she remind me of? I don't know. Just a random person that you just like, hey, in the halls of the high school, but don't really have a backstory or even care
Hmm.
about their backstory, right? So Jesus, just because it looks like Leah is born for it, I'm going with Leah Letson.
Okay. Well, the last time we saw Leah Letson, she was fighting in the Ultimate Fighter 28 finale
Mm-hmm.
uh, back in 2018. That's a long time ago. That's a long time ago.
And it
Maybe she's
is.
coming back from a bunch of injuries. She had two fights canceled in 2019, but that's also a very long time ago. I'm not sure where her body is right now, but we do know Felicia Spencer was just in there. You know, she might have lost. but she was just in there. I mean, she was in there back in May. Uh, she's done jujitsu. She's been in there
Yeah,
with Chris Cyborg and Amanda Nunes.
yeah,
Just
scary, scary.
the damage taken from those two fights alone is enough for one career. But in addition to the damage, she must have acquired some kind of knowledge. So Leah Letson coming off the bench after since 2018, I don't know what she's gonna
Yeah,
bring to the table that's gonna be that appealing. But
exactly.
who knows? I may be wrong, but I'm gonna go with the more active fighter here in Felicia Spencer to get the split decision at the least.
I agree. I agree. You know, nothing against Leah Lutson. Absolutely lovely by all accounts. You know, so this is just kind of marred, right? But
Hmm.
in terms of marred and things that people don't want to see or people want to see because they're fucking bloodthirsty, fucking I don't know people, right? But yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But fuck, you know where we are, right? We're at the fucking co-main events of the evening, where you have Marcos Rodrigo de Lima, 18-7-1, right?
Hmm.
Is Pazal, right? Pazal is coming off a win against Maurice Green, but lost to Alexander Romanov, but then beat Ben Sosoli, right? That's got to be a Polynesian name if I ever saw one. That's a wild one, right?
Hmm.
And then Marcos Rodrigo de Lima, right? Oh, we already read his
Yeah.
deal, right? So basically,
Hmm. Hmm.
we got Big Ben Rothwell, a former UFC, title contender, 1930-0, right? Absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Um, Now let's look over to the Brazilian, Rodrigo de Lima, right? Rodrigo de Lima, 18-7, right? He's been around the block, beaten Maurice Green, lost to Alexander Romanev, but then beat uh, Ben Sassoli, right? And then obviously Shaman Steve. Yeah, man, this is a wild one, but I almost feel like I could almost see what's going on in my head, right? I think we're going to have none other than what's his face? Jesus, I don't know, I don't know, but
Ben
I,
Rothwell.
Ben Rothwell. There we go. I'm looking right at his fucking picture, and it's not computing. But yeah, Ben Rothwell. Fuck it, I'm going with you.
Yes, yes. Ben Rothwell is a veteran of the sport. As you can see, his record indicates that he's been there for a while. I mean, he fought in the IFL, man, back
Yeah,
in those leagues.
Savant
So
and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, he's been there. He's been in there with all our favorite people. Uh, um, Marco Rodrigo de Lima will bring pressure, but he's going to be in there for 15 minutes with Ben Rothwell, who is a great distance manager. He's very long, he jabs very well, and he will weigh you down with his weight and his guillotine, modified guillotines if you are slipping up. Ben Rothwell, I mean, phenomenal fighter,
Hmm.
phenomenal fighter. Over 40 fights, some 45, 46 fights in this UFC or in his total career. There's just too much experience there,
Yeah.
and it's hard to go against Ben Rothwell in this particular matchup. So Ben
Hmm.
Rothwell with the unanimous or a
Yeah.
knockout.
Yeah. We got no fucking qualm out of me. I'd say the exact same way. So I agree with Voodoo 100%. So there you go. All right. Now, shit me. Holy hell. We are at the main event of the evening. We have arguably one of the most dynamic strikers that there is in the game, and one of the most inventive strikers in the game, is Yair El Pantera Rodriguez, right? 13-2 stands his record, right? Coming off of a win against Jeremy Stevens, right? Then Chang Sung Jung, right? The Korean Zombie, beats him, but loses to Frankie Edgar before it. But BJ Penn, Alex Casares, Andre Touchy-Feely, Dan Hangman Hooker, Charles Rosa, right? Leandro Morales, right? Rodolfo Rubio Perez. Like, holy shit. That is the people who kind of Yair Rodriguez laid waste to
Mm-hmm.
assume the mantle of this being where he needs to be, right? But what can you say about blessed Max Holloway, 22 and sick? That dude is running everywhere, doing everything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time that we saw Holloway was, January of this year, where he faces
Mm-hmm.
Calvin Cater, right? And the whole police and whatever the fuck. But yeah, that's kind of it. Fuck, man. I want to go Hawaiian. I love I love Rodriguez's fucking style and whatever, but I feel like I don't know, maybe a guillotine comes out of Max Holloway. So,
Mm-hmm.
but Max Holloway for the win for sure.
When we're talking about entering free flow, Yair Rodriguez's style has the capabilities of entering free flow. Now, can he enter free flow against Max Holloway? That's the question that needs to be
Mm,
answered. He's got the capabilities, but we haven't seen him fought since 2019. 2 years.
yeah. Hmm.
2 years. In those 2 years, Max Holloway has fought the champ at
Yep.
least twice.
Yep.
Twice. You know what I mean? He beat Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar, who beat uh, El Pantera.
Right.
Um, I mean, he's even been in there with 155 pounder and Dustin Poirier. So when we're talking about main events and headlining, Max Holloway has done this too many times.
Hmm.
Too many times. And that experience is going to pay dividend in this
Yeah.
match. 25 minutes. Max Holloway will not be in kicking range
Broken.
for long.
No.
He won't be in kicking range for long. He will press with continuous movement and pressure. And by the fourth round, we will see a chink in Yair's armor. And after that chink, you will see a stoppage of Yair
Jesus.
in the fifth round. That's what
Jesus.
I see. This is Max Holloway we're talking about here. He is number two in the world. Number two in the world.
Yeah.
He really should be number one, if you
Hmm.
ask me. But you're not asking me.
I mean, if it comes up, it comes up, is what I say. Yeah. So I mean, which way do you sway?
Oh,
Rodriguez or
Max Holloway
Holloway?
all the way. Max Holloway all the way.
Yeah, you can't do it. And again, nothing against Gary Rodriguez. He's phenomenal. From fighters and fans alike, I've heard nothing but great things from him, and that's a great ambassador to the sport, which I believe
Mm-hmm,
the MMA fight gods will descend into all of our computers and find a stream that actually fucking works. Right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Actually fucking works.
mm-hmm. Yes, yes. And hey, that wraps up the fight card. But how about Street Judas Masvidal pulling out of that card, huh? Against
Jesus
Leon Edwards.
Christ. And Hamzat is the one who's like, yo, bro, let's
Throw me
go.
in, coach. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Chimaev,
That's
Chimaev. Chimaev, man, he knows how to play the game. He plays with the boys on the internet, on Twitter or whatever. He plays in
mhm.
the cage. He plays again with the UFC brass. Anything falls out, he's throwing his name in a hat. Whether he's going to be picked or not, his
Mhm.
name is ringing loud.
Yeah.
The man is a better version of Khabib.
Yeah,
He's a better
yeah,
version of Khabib. He is a master wrestler, just like Khabib, but
right.
he's got hands. He's got
Yeah,
hands, and he's got a gas tank
like
that
nobody's
can run a
business.
locomotive.
Yeah.
So I'm liking what I'm seeing. But what do you think will be the next matchup in that division for Leon Edwards?
Chimaev. Why the fuck not?
You think they would jump that far?
Why the fuck not?
That's true.
Why the fuck not, man? Like,
Now,
how?
now, mhm. The question now for you is: do you believe that Leon Edwards will risk going in there against a vicious wrestler like that could easily steal his position?
I mean, he's fucking British, right? So, theoretically speaking, right? Love the Brits. I'm not talking shit about it, right? But when everything is prim and proper and you fucking do British fucking things, like you're about that life until you lose, right? And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, obviously we know uh, the gent that we were just speaking of, via like his endeavors outside of the UFC, right? And
Mm-hmm.
creating companies and what have you. So I don't know, man. I think Chimaev, this is a big leap in competition for him, but if played right, it would end up pay dirt for fucking Knott's Berry Farm. So yeah, man, shit.
Yeah, I would not take that Chimaev fight. It's
No,
too risky.
yeah.
It's too risky. There's nothing for Leon to gain. There's
Hmm.
nothing for him to gain. If I were him, I will say no, thank you, no, thank you. I mean, the man he's on a 9-fight win streak. Why is he not next in line for the title? I
Right,
know why.
1000%.
I know why. Him and the champion does not sell pay-per-view, which is why. Well, if that's the case, put them both on a fight card,
Mm.
like the one that we're gonna have on Saturday. Put them on a fight night.
Yeah,
Put them on cable. You don't have to put them on pay-per-view. Put them on cable.
right,
But
true.
the champ only prefers to fight on cable. But
Mhm.
does he have the drawing power
Stones.
to sell
Yeah.
his ticket? If those two are gonna be on there, then we have to fill the undercard or the
Yeah.
the co-main event and or whatnot. All the cards in the main event must be very strong fights. You know, do we
Yeah.
have the luxury of building such a card in a moment that the fight's gonna take place? We don't know. We will see.
We'll see. Yeah, absolutely. So I hope we can get in the fucking DeLorean and get the fuck out of there to fucking save the family there when your mom tries to fuck you and then you go lose your brother and end up trying to fucking fighting the kids. It's a fucking wild ass story. You can't convince me that somebody wasn't on fucking shrooms when they wrote that shit, but God love you. You're doing the God and the devil's fucking ethos. So shout out to you, which shout out to all of you guys for joining us here at Voodoo in the Woods, right? And if you haven't
Oh
already
yeah.
done so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the Voodoo in the Woods podcast on YouTube, Facebook. I want to say Instagram, but anywhere you can go live, theoretically, you should find us there, right?
Oh yeah.
But well, again, shout out to Eric Bischoff, Chrissy Olsen, George Hermosa, Shaman Steve, all of these people, these Takeo Pal who rock with us from beginning to end, that wants the fucking chat line open. So it's always open, But we thank you, Voodoo, and we will see you sometime Sunday with more Voodoo in the I don't have the fucking intro or outro. Woods. Yeah, here it is. Keep punching. Keep punching. There we go.